Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I am in Fuengirola at the beach promenade. And this is where we start our walk by this metal fish installation. It's spiral shaped and you can go inside, but I'm not going to go inside now. I'm going to start my walk heading south. It's around 8 in the morning, and surprisingly, there are many people walking and jogging. The beach promenade in Fuengirola is 7 kilometers long. It starts from Playa de Carvajal, from Carvajal Beach, and ends at Soail Castle. But I'm not gonna go that far today. I think there are about 6 or 7 beaches along the promenade. Today we are going to walk alongside Los Boliches Gaviotas Beach. Gaviotas translates to seagulls, and boliches means little balls. We are approaching an information board and an entrance to the beach. Boards like these list all the services on the beaches, and behind it is sort of like an entrance to the beach. It's quite cloudy this morning, but don't let that fool you because in a few hours the weather will be sunny again. Let me show you something. This is very typical here in Spain. So the wooden structure with the thatched roof is an outdoor grilling area, and the boat-shaped structure is where they grill fish. And this is a chiringuito, a beach restaurant. They fire up the grill, I think, between 11 and 12, so a bit later. And almost every chiringuito has a grill area, an outdoor grill area like this. Good to know, in Spain, restaurants start serving lunch from 1 in the afternoon, and many restaurants close for siesta, typically from 5 to 7 in the afternoon. So make sure to check the opening hours before you head to the restaurant. As we will walk for some time, let me give you a short history of Fuengirola and the origin of its name. The town's roots go back to Phoenician times, and the first settlement was located near a hill on the outskirts of the town. Of course, the Romans established their presence as well, and they named this settlement Suel or Soel. The Moors arrived to Spain in the beginning of the 8th century, and they occupied, I would say, more than 2/3 of the peninsula. And in the 10th century, the settlement or the town's name was changed to Soail. The castle on the hill has the same name. By the end of the Spanish Reconquista, which was in the 15th century, the records mention a completely different name, Fuengirola. Do you see the giant black bull on the hill to the right? Well, you can see many of these scattered around the country. I will talk about them a bit later. Anyway, let's get back to Fuengirola's name. So, Girola is a type of sailing boat that was used at that time, and Malaga's region was an important supply center for ships heading toward the Strait of Gibraltar. And Fuengirola is quite close to Malaga, so that's why it has a boat reference in its name, probably. And Font possibly relates to the Spanish word fuente, which means fountain or spring. And over time, Fuengirola changed to Fuengirola. Okay, so here people can play beach volleyball. The net is attached to these blue and yellow poles. In the background, you can see the lifeguard tower, and in the foreground, there is a small playground. There is the pool again. And they actually used to be commercial billboards for a company based in Jerez. Jerez is very close to Cadiz. And they advertised their brandy with the bulls. I don't remember the specific date, but I think it was in the early 90s when a new regulation was passed in Spain prohibiting roadside advertising, and the company had to remove the ad content. However, the bulls remained because people grew fond of them. We are passing another chiringuito with its significant grilling area. There are plenty of chiringuitos on the promenade, and there are various stores, bars, cafes on the other side of the street, on the street level of the residential buildings. Fuengirola is about 25 kilometers from the airport of Malaga. The Spanish National Railways, Renfe, operates a train between Malaga and Fuengirola. One of the stops is at the airport, and the train stops at Los Boliches district. This is where I am right now. But you may get from the airport to Fuengirola by taxi, Uber, Bolt, or you can rent a car as well. We pass a Rotary International Monument, and from now on we will see several statues and monuments on the promenade. This is one of the reasons why I chose this part. I think these displays were installed recently. They show the UV intensity. Now it's green, so that means it's low. The letter Q here indicates that Fuengirola provides quality service to tourists. A sculpture called Los Niños en la Playa, meaning children at the beach. At the beginning of my walk, I mentioned that the seaside promenade is a bit longer than 7 kilometers. Of course, it wasn't built all at once. The planning and construction of the first section took place in the 1960s. Around the same time, tourism began to take off in Fuengirola. And as the town became increasingly popular, the promenade was gradually extended until it reached its final length in the 1970s. By the way, this is the longest seaside promenade on the Costa del Sol. Fun fact, garbage bins are sunk below the ground, and you can dump your trash through these pipe-shaped structures. The colorful things in the distance are paddle boats with slides that you can rent. And we are approaching another interesting installation called Mano Abierta, which means open hand. And funnily, one of the palm trees are growing out of the palm. Fuente de las Naciones, meaning Fountain of Nations, is a monument which features 132 flags, symbolizing the people from 132 different nations who live or have lived in Fuengirola. And you can see the Spanish in the middle, that's the biggest one. Mare Nostrum is a summer music festival in Fuengirola, and on these boards you can see all the performers, the bands and singers. Many of them are Spanish, but there are also some international artists. And to the left there is a bungee trampoline. The list of performers goes on and on, as you can see. And this is the sound of green parrots you can see all over on the Costa del Sol. It's an invasive species, and they make huge nests and have spread rapidly in this region. This huge monument was built to commemorate the peseta, Spain's former currency before the introduction of the euro. The coin features the face of King Juan Carlos I. He was proclaimed king after Franco's death and played a significant role in Spain's transition to democracy. Francisco Franco was a dictator, and he ruled over Spain for several decades. Today, Juan Carlos's son, Felipe, is the king. This sculpture is called Monumento al Turista. It translates to Monument of the Tourist. Oh, and so sometimes you can see this blue fish-shaped metal structures. Well, you can throw plastic trash in these. Fuengirola is committed to maintain sustainable beaches. It's a huge problem. People, visitors, beachgoers, they leave a lot of trash on the beaches. I already mentioned that the coastline is called Costa del Sol, the coast of the sun. This part of the country has 300 to 320 sunny days a year. I know the cloudy weather today doesn't prove that. Anyway, Costa del Sol is a 150-kilometer long coastline, and it stretches from Nerja to Gibraltar. There is an urban legend that it was originally called Costa del Viento, Coast of the Wind, but it wasn't very appealing to tourists, so they changed it. However, I didn't find any official record of this. Nevertheless, strong winds can happen on the Costa del Sol, and there are several reasons for this. Firstly, the land heats up more quickly than the sea, and the warm air rises and wind from the sea moves in to take its place. Secondly, the hills and mountains that line the coast act like funnels where the wind intensifies and accelerates. And lastly, Fronts and cyclones coming from the Atlantic Ocean can also bring strong winds. And I can already see where I'm going to end my walk, the cannon. I read somewhere that this is a naval cannon, but I couldn't find any more information which ship it was on. And oh yes, if we walk a little bit, you can see the patron saint of seamen, the Virgen del Carmen statue. So she's the patron saint of fishermen and sailors. And here is another UV intensity display. And yeah, this is where I'm going to end my walk. This was roughly a 2-kilometer walk. Let's take a last glance at the sea, and yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed. See you.